everybody. Welcome back to Breakfast with Bob from the Hotel West End, beautiful Nice. My name is Bob Babbitt, brought to you by Master Spas, SFuels Go Longer, HOKA Let's Fly, deboer wetsuits, Form Smart Swim Goggles, Zoot Sports, original triathlon brand, Quintana Premium Plus Sports, and of course, our Challenge Athletes Foundation. We've now raised $159 million, sent out over 44,000 grants to keep challenged athletes in the game of life through sport. One of these years, I'm going to get Mr. Jan Frodeno to join me at the Best Day in Tri coming up October 22nd. And right now, though, he's getting ready for his final race as a professional triathlete. Mr. Jan Frodeno, three-time Ironman world champion, two-time Ironman 70.3 world champion, 2008 Olympic gold medalist. He has done it all. Jan Frodeno joins us from his palatial estate somewhere in Europe.
Yeah.
How you doing, Jan?
Very good. That was a great addition at the end there. Hanging out on my little backyard couch and trying to keep calm as long as possible. Nice to see you, Bob.
Always such a pleasure. It's funny, I was chatting with Mark Allen yesterday, and he said, you know, when I had announced that 95 was going to be my last Ironman World Championship, it was freeing. It was like, I thought it was going to bring all this pressure on me, but it was just the opposite. I felt like, hey, I've got nothing to prove. I've won a bunch of these things, and whatever happens on race day happens. So going into this, I've noticed you're training with the kids, you're having fun. Are you looking at it sort of the same way? Hey, listen, this is going to be the last one. I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong. The journey is always an interesting one, you know, and it's been full of the usual ups and downs, but I've managed to surround myself with some good people and found a real calm place up here in the mountains. Been doing a lot of training with Brad Weiss from South Africa, and you know, it's kind of like a full circle experience for me, just connecting myself, with quite a few South Africans at the moment actually, and just living as much as I can. I do agree in terms of the pressure. You know, especially on this course, for me, it's a massive challenge. It really is. And it's also what keeps me engaged. It's what keeps me interested. It's everything I kind of could ask for from The Last Dance, you know.
Yes.
I feel my body's got one more. I honestly don't think my body's got two more. It's been tough to come here, to get here, and to be fit, healthy, ready, locked and loaded. So I am totally looking forward to the weekend, and I can very much relate to what Mark was saying.
The other part of this is you know, there's track record when you go to Kona. People sort of know who's going to be where at what point. Where this is such a crapshoot, because we've never seen all you guys racing on this course before. I mean, most of us have never seen anybody race on this course at all. 8,000 feet of climbing. You've got, you know, obviously the best people in the world racing. How do you see this thing playing out?
It is a well and true magic box, because indeed you have all the people that have always won on these kind of courses. And, you know, we talk about the French athletes being home to this kind of racing. But they've also never had to face against the best in the world at their peak, right, on their home turf, you know. So on paper, I think it's definitely a course for the dark horses. But you know, I really think that championship racing always brings out the best and makes the cream rise to the top, and that's what we hope to see here. You know, I think some athletes that you kind of see very, very strong, you know, even of course our all-time favorite, everybody loves Cam Worth. You know, he's going to have a field day out there on this course. He knows the course well. But there are just so many competitors that I see that would make it such an interesting race. I think from a follower's perspective.
No question. And it's interesting. We were just chatting with Magnus Dietlef a little bit ago, and a lot of people were telling him, "Oh, you're too tall. This is not a course for you. You're too. You know, it's a small person's course." because 5% sort of power climbing. So he goes, I think it's a great course for me. Obviously, you're a tall guy. You look at this course. Does this course suit you and suit your strengths?
Yeah, unfortunately, unlike Magnus, I don't have a 500-watt FTP, so I am tall. Duck my head in. But you know what? I think there are definitely parts of this course that suit me. I mean, I've moved to the mountains here in Andorra and prepared as well as I can for this climbing. But, technically, I fancy myself as one of the better riders out there. And, what goes up must come down. And that's definitely true on this course as well. You got 8,000 feet of climbing, you got 8,000 feet of descending. And it's technical. And you know what? I like a good descent, and I like taking a lot of risk. And then we have a completely flat and fast marathon at the end, and that's also something I'm really looking forward to. So I've prepared well, and I am truly and genuinely looking forward to seeing what it's worth.
What was really fun was watching the walkie and watching you have one of those magical days, right? Where huge crowds, PTO events in Milwaukee, the US Open, and you go off and win the thing. That had to be one of the, obviously you had amazing highlights. It's not the Olympic goals you look at and go, hey, all those young guys are here. And of course, it's not an Ironman. It's not a 70.3. It's less than that. That's not really where my strength is supposed to be right now. And then you win that. That had to give you a little confidence.
Yeah, confidence, is one of those things that for us athletes, I think comes and goes with good preparation and can be there. But I'll tell you what, it felt damn good. Like, it felt really good. It was pretty much spot on a year since I was in hospital, and I kind of swore to myself, I'm going to get back to the top just one more time. And, I'd prepared well, the training had gone good. And that's really all you can ask for as an athlete. In the end, there's a limited number of things that you can influence. And I tried to play all my cards. There's some mind games, and there was this, and it was good fun. And that's really what I think that PTO kind of racing brings about. It's just different dynamics and exciting racing, and that's what I feel it was. And therefore, I have to say that's probably one of my most cherished wins over the years.
So the other thing we chatted with Mark about was the fact that, in his last race, he won a thing and never raced again. It was the ultimate mic drop. You're 13, 14 minutes behind off the bike. You run down this 25-year-old German guy named Thomas Hellriegel, and he wins the race and says, I'm out. And a lot of times people say they're out and then they come back. Mark never has. That was it. And you're sort of in a position to do something very similar in your last race ever. Everybody knows it. And if you do what Jan Frodeno does, which is win, you've got that ultimate mic drop. So like, hey, see ya. It's been nice.
Yeah, it's amazing to think about. I mean, honestly, it's it does come up in conversation and in my thoughts, obviously, and the realization that it really is a lifetime of working for an opportunity. I see it as an opportunity. I don't see it as a must happen. I don't see it as a something that's certainly not for granted. It's an extreme challenge. And we've actually dubbed it the Project Moonshot, because this for me it is roughly that. It's a very, very tall ask, and it's a beautiful race, a spectacular race. But that would indeed be, yes, the ultimate mic drop. I mean, it's so many things coming together that would indeed, of course, be the ultimate crown for what feels like a lifetime of being a triathlete.
So you could have gone off in isolation and got ready for this last race, but you've involved the family, the kids are out there. It's just been really a fun journey doing this as a family.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, part of the reason why I'm retiring is because I'm sick and tired of saying no to my kids. they're not around forever, and they're not young forever, and they're also not going to want to play soccer with me forever, despite being the worst soccer player in the world. And, I think they're going to grow out of that pretty quick. And so I just naturally have always found when I restrict myself too much, when I, live too much like a monk out in the middle of nowhere, it just tends to backfire. I believe the sport is hard enough and the racing's hard enough. I personally need to come from a place of happiness. And there is no one I care about more than my family. So being able to share that is just, frankly spoken, it's wonderful. And they get it, and they love the racing and, the medals, and then the swim, and what's going to happen on the bike. And, they're just such fierce little cheerers. Even when I see the face of my little girl, when she starts cheering me on, she just gets in a real fan mode. And it's a beautiful thing to share. And like most things, they're better when you can share them.
Over the years, we've done a lot of interviews, and one of the things that always hit me is, I think it was when you're in South Africa, and basically your mom said, you're going to take swimming lessons because I'm worried about you drowning in the surf. We've got to teach you how to swim, which led to basically everything we have today. Where I think a lot of age group people, a lot of age group athletes think that a Jan Frodeno is identified at the age of 7 years old. He's going to be an elite triathlete, and we'll train him to go to the Olympics, etc. They don't realize that you were the same as everybody else. You had to learn how to swim and had to, become an age grouper and then become a pro and all the rest of that. When you look back at this lifetime journey, it just has to be so special thinking about where you started and where you've come now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I started with 19. I mean, that's kind of, it's a late age to start with any kind of serious sport. I wasn't even professional at 19. I just started with triathlon.
Right.
Did my first one. And, swimming, I learned to swim when I was 15. And yeah, it's just simply too late. If you look at high performance swimmers, they're all swimming by the time they're 5.
Yes.
And getting serious by the time they're 7. And, I think triathlon is very unique that way because it asks for a different kind of skill set. But to this day, I have never, ever had a great performance test. I've never gone to the lab and somebody said, oh my God, this guy is going to tear things apart. I've always been told, nah, you're too this, you're not flexible enough, you're too heavy, you don't have enough power, blah, blah, blah. But then when it comes to racing, that seems to come and ask for a very unique set of skills that somehow I seem to have learned in those 15 or 19 years until I started. But I couldn't agree more with you that it's been a wonderful journey and an incredible time of going through so many different versions of myself and, coming out here and being at a point where, I'm genuinely I'm a bit sad. I'm looking forward to Sunday. Yeah. I'm really nervous and excited and all those things I was 20 years ago when I went to a start line. And at the same time, at some stage you have to say, well, it's been beautiful, it's been enough. I'm leaving because I can and not because I hate the sport. I will always be connected to the sport in some way or another that I've got to figure out soon. But it's certainly also been an emotional roller coaster the last few weeks.
It's funny whenever people when people doubt somebody's greatness. I always just look at when you won the Olympics in 2008. What race number were you? You were like number
27, maybe.
Yeah,
I think 27.
Not one, not two, not three, not a seeded guy, not a guy expected to win, but a guy with like 27, something along that line, which means that you've made a career of proving people wrong, right? And that's what always impresses me, because the only person who believed, like besides your group around you, that Jan Frodeno was going to win a gold medal that day was Jan Frodeno. and there was no doubt in your mind. You'd done all the sprints, every workout finished with a 200, right? Because you knew it was going to come down to a sprint, and it did. It was almost like it was preordained, and you beat Simon Whitfield and get the gold medal. And that leads to everything else that we see today. But that mindset of, I'm a champion and I'm always going to be a champion. Where do you think that comes from?
I've wondered that many times because I think it is something unique. You know, when I see a lot of athletes, I'm always the worst predictor of performance. I'm always like, this guy, he's going to take the world apart. And then, you know, the numbers add up, but other things don't. And yeah, I to be very honest, I couldn't tell you, but I've always had this thing of really enjoying winning and hating losing. That was something that is definitely inbred that I have had no control over. But you know, yeah, indeed, it's finding a good way, and then as Simon Whitfield said, you know, you do it for 98% of the right reasons, and 2% is for the a-holes out there that say you can't do it. And there is that, and it rubs me up the wrong way, and for some lucky reason I've just been able to turn that anger into some kind of positive forward motion.
Love that. And the other thing you're doing, and we've seen it over the years, when you know Dave Scott came to Ironman 94 at the age of 40 after being retired for 5 years and took second. Everybody thought this guy's not even going to be a factor. And Mark Allen won his last Ironman at the age of 37. Crowley, I think, was 38. I don't know if we've had a Ironman world champion male at 40 years old, but there's certainly no reason why not.
You have to say, like, in terms of physiology and in terms of numbers, I'm actually the fittest I've ever been. I'm moving better in terms of Ironman performance.
Yes.
You know, the peaks are not what they used to be, but they don't need to be in an Ironman. But there's also no doubt, you know, the sport has definitely progressed and things have happened. And you know, it's been an interesting year. Of course, last year I didn't get to train or run at all. I think I ran less. Yeah, I did not run double-digit sessions outside last year, so less than 10 sessions that I actually got to run all of last year. I started running again in November, so you know there was a bit of a base missing earlier in the year, and just some miles and routine. And luckily, I've been able to catch up on that, and the preparation's gone really well, and therefore, you know, it's all to play. And genuinely, there is a sense of anticipation and wondering and curiosity as to see what all these young guns are up to, because you know, you see someone like Magnus and how he lifted the bar. I mean, we were both there and saw the race live in Roth. It was absolutely phenomenal. I'm just grateful to be in a shape and in a condition that I say, okay, well, let's see what it's all worth. Let's see what I can make happen in this kind of field.
It used to be people came to Ironman after, you know, you had your Olympics in 2012, and then you move on, and you're, you know, basically 10 years ago. So you're in your early 30s when people moved on to Ironman. These guys are basically coming out of diapers and, you know, immediately getting TT bike and going long. They're going 21, 22 years old. I can't imagine where the times are going to go with guys getting in that young. What are your thoughts in terms of just this younger crop that's coming in and where the sport is going?
Oh, honestly, it's like for me as a fan to watch the sport, it's absolutely remarkable. You know, you see the kind of big days that are able to be produced, because, you know, let's be honest, at 22 you're recovering better than at 42. There is no doubt.
No
And
question.
I've had a few days here. I mean, I always suffer at altitude, but you know, you just find like going back to back big days is a struggle. It genuinely becomes a struggle. And you know, like the last few weeks, I've spent 2 to 3 hours every single day just trying to get my body into shape so that I can swim, bike, or run. And you know, that's what these guys spend recovering, or spend running or swimming or cycling. And it's definitely a stage in the sport where also, science is kind of moving along. And I think we're getting to a point where, yeah, the training is going back to being honest and being quite a lot more than what we were used to. I think for a while there was just this whole trend on doing low volume and low miles and trying to get the quality up. But this next generation is able to hold up the quality and the miles. And, that just simply adds up. It may not add up to a 23-year-long professional career. But, I think most of us initially go into the sports saying we're here for a good time, not a long time. And that's it's kind of worked out both ways for me. But just the kind of high-end performances coming out of there are pretty mind-blowing.
Over the years, I've always looked at whoever the Ironman champion is really the representative of our sport. That's a person who gets interviewed the most. That's a person who the media relates to as the sort of the leader of the sport. And there's really no one who has represented the sport as well as you have, as what I call the sort of a leader of the sport, as somebody who represents the sport at the ultimate highest level. I want to thank you personally, if we don't get a chance before this race, just for what you've brought to the sport, for the fact that you're always giving back, what you've created with your little track for kids, and just thinking about how I can raise money for charity, how can I help others, always being there for the other pros to answer their questions and to sort of be that guiding light for them. I really appreciate that, because it's important. You're following the heritage of Mark Allen, Dave Scott, Paul Newby Fraser, and people who did it the right way. And you, my friend, have definitely done it the right way.
Well, Bob, the saying goes, it takes one to know one. And I think in terms of being charitable and being a voice of the sport, you are the benchmark. And, for me, to be honest, in this whole discussion, to be named alongside those greats of our sport is something that genuinely gives me goosebumps. And, I was just a kid going out there wanting to change my stars and have a great time doing it. And, the triathlon family has been wonderful to me. And I'm very much, even a little bit emotional thinking about it all. And looking forward to staying apart and being apart from the sidelines in the future. But for now, it's on to one more.
Well, and hopefully a Monday morning interview. Can't wait.
Nor can I. There will be champagne.
We will provide the champagne. Jan Frodeno has been our guest. Again, Breakfast with Bob from beautiful Nice. Jan will be racing for his final time here at Ironman World Championship coming up on Sunday. Jan, thank you so much for taking so much time. I know I went over my 15 minutes, but I needed to.
Love it, Bob. Absolutely. Always a pleasure to chat. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you, buddy. Take care.
You too.